Have you ever found yourself trapped inside your own mind? Every decision, every word, endlessly replayed, dissected, overanalyzed. Welcome to the world of overthinkers. Overthinking is more than just worrying. It's a psychological loop that consumes attention. Millions of people experience it daily, from small choices to life-changing decisions. The mind becomes a maze, full of what-ifs and should-haves. It's not laziness, and it's not always anxiety. It's the brain's intense need for certainty. Psychologists have found that overthinkers often have heightened awareness, but this heightened awareness can feel like a trap, turning simple moments into complex mental battles. Overthinking begins with a single thought, often harmless at first. Then the mind starts to expand it, layer by layer, consequence by consequence. This is called rumination, a repetitive thinking pattern that is hard to control. Neuroimaging studies show that overthinkers have higher activity in the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and decision-making. The amygdala, our emotional center, may overreact to minor stressors. This combination creates a perfect storm, thinking deeply, feeling intensely. Everyday choices, like what to wear, what to say, or how to respond, can spiral into hours of analysis. Because the brain imagines every possible reaction, wondering if they offended someone or said the wrong thing. This can lead to self-doubt, low confidence, and second-guessing. Studies suggest that overthinking is linked to both anxiety and depression. Though not everyone who overthinks is clinically anxious, it is often a learned behavior, shaped by childhood experiences or high-pressure environments. Perfectionism fuels the cycle. The fear of making a wrong choice keeps the mind in constant motion. Even minor mistakes are magnified, replayed endlessly in the mental theater. The mind becomes a relentless critic, pointing out flaws, gaps, or potential regrets. Cognitive psychologists call this analysis paralysis, when thinking too much prevents action. Interestingly, overthinkers often have above-average intelligence and problem-solving skills, but their strengths become weaknesses because their mental energy is constantly divided. Sleep is frequently disrupted as the brain refuses to switch off at night. Overthinking can affect memory, focusing on imagined scenarios instead of present moments. Physically, it can cause fatigue, headaches, and tension. The body mirrors the mind's unrest. Socially, overthinkers may avoid conflict or over-apologize, trying to control outcomes that cannot be controlled. They may also over-prepare for simple tasks just to reduce uncertainty. But the preparation often increases anxiety because the mind notices every tiny detail. Interestingly, mindfulness and cognitive behavioral techniques have proven effective in reducing overthinking. Even brief moments of meditation, focusing on breath or senses, can interrupt rumination. Journaling can help too, externalizing thoughts to see them more clearly. Therapy often targets cognitive distortions, like catastrophizing or black and white thinking. Awareness is the first step, recognizing the overthinking pattern before it takes over. Slowly, the mind learns to prioritize, separating what matters from imagined fears. Exercise and healthy routines also help regulate stress hormones, calming the racing mind. Even small acts of self-compassion, reminding oneself it's okay to make mistakes, break the cycle. Overthinking is not a flaw. It is an intense mental style, sometimes a gift, sometimes a burden. Understanding its mechanics gives power, turning mental loops into mindful choices. The journey is long, but not impossible. Awareness, action, and patience are key. Meet Emma, a young woman who constantly replays her conversations at work. Every hello and thank you she utters becomes a mental puzzle. At night, she recalls meetings, worrying if she smiled too much or too little. She spends hours crafting emails, rewriting sentences, doubting every word. Her friends notice her hesitation, asking her why she seems exhausted. She explains, "It's not that she wants to be perfect, she just can't stop thinking." Another example is David, a man who overthinks dating. Imagining worst-case scenarios, he replays texts, wondering if he said something wrong or if she's interested. This constant mental replay prevents him from enjoying the moment or even asking someone out. Overthinking can also happen in creative work. Artists or writers who revise endlessly, fearing judgment. They may never publish, never perform, stuck in imagined criticism. Sometimes overthinking can be protective, avoiding risky choices or mistakes. But when it dominates life, the cost outweighs the benefit. Consider Julia, who spends weekends planning for emergencies, even minor ones. Her mind races with what-if scenarios, each more unlikely than the last. Her family grows frustrated. They see her anxiety, but she can't stop. Overthinkers often feel isolated because their intensity is misunderstood. In groups, they may be quiet, listening, observing, analyzing every nuance. Yet, when alone, the mind is loud, debating, calculating, imagining outcomes. Stories like Emma, David, and Julia show overthinking is universal, but manifests differently. The emotional weight can be heavy. Anxiety, guilt, regret, looping endlessly. But with awareness, change is possible. Even incremental steps help break cycles. Simple routines, structured decision-making, and mindfulness can help the brain rest. These examples remind us that overthinking is not laziness or weakness. It's an intense mental style. And like any skill, it can be managed, trained, and transformed. The key insight is this: overthinking is a sign of deep engagement and intelligence. The brain is wired to predict, prepare, and prevent mistakes. But when prediction becomes obsession, it traps the mind in endless loops. Emotional awareness intensifies every thought, creating a feedback loop of worry. Awareness without action leads to rumination. Action without awareness can lead to mistakes. The balance lies in mindful observation, noticing thoughts without being controlled by them. This is why meditation, journaling, and therapy are effective. They redirect attention. Overthinkers are sensitive, noticing patterns others might miss, feeling deeply. That sensitivity can be a gift if managed consciously. Recognizing triggers, understanding thought loops, empowers change. Overthinking is not a weakness, but a misunderstood form of intelligence. Relentless, powerful, sometimes frightening, but every storm can pass with awareness, patience, and small, deliberate steps. By observing thoughts, practicing self-compassion, and taking mindful action, the mind can find calm. Overthinkers are not broken. They are simply wired for deep reflection. Understanding this is the first step toward freedom, and with time, the mind learns to think deeply without being trapped.